So thank you, everybody. I appreciate you jumping in this morning. Here we are, Leaders Edge Wednesday. And the goal of Wednesday is to try and help you get connected into all things eXp. Sometimes that means technology platforms. Sometimes that means mindsets and masterminds. Sometimes that means just connecting into the value of the culture of being an eXp agent. What I want to talk to everybody about today is if you have had an opportunity to participate, particularly in masterminds with our upline or in some of the mastermind offerings that Leaders Edge has recently rolled out, the theme that you should be picking up on is production, that the goal in setting yourself up for success is to remain focused on production. So to that end, what I want to talk about today is an opportunity for you to think about where you can free up valuable time in your schedule, in the time that you devote to your real estate business, to be able to be productive. I think we all recognize that real estate is not a 40-hour-a-week job. It's certainly not even a 5-day-a-week job. And if you look at where your time is spent currently in real estate, I'm going to guess at a minimum, and I'm being super conservative here, that you each spend about an hour a day, 7 days a week on paperwork. That's really conservative, right? I'm sure we can all think that it's even more than that when you really break down your schedule. But when I say paperwork, I'm talking about creating contracts, sending them out for signature, addendums, amendments, sending them for signature, MLS entry, and then updates. And now I'm talking about adding on compliance, understanding and utilizing SkySlope to make sure that transactions in eXp's file cabinet are monitored, because at the end of the day, you want to get paid super fast. So think about all the time that you're spending on those tasks. Like I said, super conservative. I'm saying about 7 hours a week on those tasks. If you add that up, you're talking about over 360 hours a year. And I would venture to say easily each of you right now in this Zoom is well over 400 hours a year being spent on those tasks. Necessary, vital, but not necessarily directly related to production or to income generation. And when those tasks have to get addressed, it takes you away from marketing, takes you away from selling, takes you away from touching your clients, meeting with clients, calling clients, making yourself available to clients. So what I want to talk about today is something that we have rolled out already with the Connection Realtors team. And what we're looking to do is expand it and broaden it to be able to deliver the same service and crank it up a few notches to include the real estate leaders and Platinum Group, the teams receiving these services. And what I'm talking about is a transaction coordinator platform. All of us are used to, in our past brokerages, having admins in the office. Sometimes we leaned on those admins for assistance with paperwork. I know very frequently we've relied on those admins to be there when we dropped off checks and closing documents so that we could get paid on our transactions. Now that we're within eXp's framework, and again, recognizing a culture very focused on production, what we want to be able to do is realize that we can create a platform that takes administrative responsibilities off of your plate and gives you the ability to devote that time to something else. Maybe it's production, maybe it's client contact, but maybe you need a vacation. Maybe you need to be able to carve out time to get to the gym or to spend time with your family. Whatever that valuable other thing is that's missing you right now in your life, we're gonna fix that for you with a transaction coordinator platform. What we're talking about is having multiple individuals. We had 2. We've already expanded just this week to 4. We have 4 individuals that will be able to handle a, right now, 6-day-a-week schedule. Monday to Friday, we're looking at 12 hours of coverage. Saturday, 6 hours of coverage, where you can utilize the expertise and the services of those individuals to handle administrative tasks. So let's talk about specifically what are those administrative tasks, and understand, very important in this framework, because you can talk with another team, you can talk with another brokerage, and sometimes their definition of transaction coordinator is going to be a little bit different. In our framework and what we're presenting to you and talking about rolling out in the next 2 weeks, it's important to us that you, as the agent, maintain all of the personal client contact. So you're the one calling your customers. You're the one having the conversations. You're the one cultivating and building the relationship. We're handling the transaction from an administrative standpoint. So most of our contact is going to be all email driven and all document signature driven. So let me show you. I want to share my screen and show you what we have defined as services that we want to make available to you as the agent for transaction coordination. So let's take a look at the first one, a checklist for buyers. So here are the things, if you have a new buyer, that a transaction coordinator team can offer to you. We leverage a .loop platform. So all of our documents are created in .loop and then disseminated to the parties for signature through .loop. Along those lines, we can prepare agency agreement. We can assist with preparing offers to purchase in .loop. Offer to purchase is a little bit of a difficult one right now because we all appreciate that this is a unique market. So sometimes that is a task that you as the agent may still want to handle because there's so much negotiation back and forth and fast movement that might happen with the listing agent trying to come to terms to a contract. A TC will receive and download pre-approval letters, uploading that information into .loop. We can create contracts of sale. Now, I know many of you on this call, particularly in the central and northern New Jersey markets, utilize attorneys. So in that case, the TC is not looking to in any way step on or impede the role of the attorney, but to supplement it, to make sure the things that the attorney might not be concerned about, real estate disclosures and so forth, that the TC is stepping in as a supplement to get those things signed, keep the transaction in compliance on your behalf. The TC, when working for buyers, will provide the listing agent with all of the information for the buyer, their mortgage company, title company, the down payment information. And then they'll take all of that information once it's created in .loop, and once those documents are generated, they'll go ahead and create the transaction in SkySlope as well. And then they'll monitor that transaction in SkySlope for compliance. They're going to confirm delivery of the seller's property disclosure to the buyer. They have the ability to pull tax records to validate that the ownership from the tax account standpoint matches up with the ownership information that you've been provided for contract preparation. If you're interested, and some agents are not, but we have the ability to Oprah reports on your behalf if you're looking for property specific information, either with a township or a county. The TC will request information from the seller that will specifically help your buyer and the title company in getting the transaction to closing and getting that sale to consummation, specifically with regard to homeowners insurance, or excuse me, homeowners association and utility services. Something that, the buyer's not going to know where to go, who they need to contact for utilities. The TC is going to help to bridge that gap and get the information to the buyer so they're prepared for closing day. TCs will order title services on your behalf with Connection Title or Unitas Title. And again, provide whatever information they're able to obtain on homeowners association to title. That always seems to be like one of those black holes that nobody always knows the answer to. Is there an association on this property? Once all of this information is set up front, our TCs will send a congratulatory email to the buyers on behalf of you, the agent, with just a general sort of bird's eye view of the transaction with some important dates. This is one of those pieces of paper that in all of the documents that your buyers or your sellers receive, this is the one that they're going to print out and stick on the fridge. That's going to help them stay on top of the transaction, what things they're supposed to be doing. When does home inspection get done? When do I have to have my mortgage commitment in? When should I follow up on my homeowner's insurance or get my utility services requested? The TC will also research and provide information on the certificate of occupancy, so that if this is going to be a responsibility of the buyer, they'll help guide the buyer on how to go about obtaining that CO. They'll monitor the MLS to make sure of status changes, monitor for EMD. Remember, in eXp's um, process, we no longer accept earnest money deposits. And in North Jersey, it was always the attorneys that typically held them anyway. In that case, we're making sure that we're receiving a copy of it. Again, needs to get uploaded in SkySlope for compliance purposes. Mortgage commitment, addendums, amendments, extensions to the contract can all be prepared by the TC, sent out through dotloop for signature, and then shared with SkySlope, maintaining compliance. Same thing with inspection reports and appraisals, making sure that they are added to the loop. And remember that dotloop will be a valuable resource to you going forward, where in your effort to get paperless so that you can have your, if your office is in a physical building, if it's in the spare bedroom of your house, if it's on the road because you've got appointments all day, when you have access to SkySlope and you have access to dotloop, you've got access to all of your files right there in the palm of your hand. The TC is going to help you stay organized in that regard to make you effective. All of the flags that are issued by SkySlope, by the transaction review team, are managed by the TC on your behalf, so that if there is an issue, if there is question on a particular document, or if a document is missing, the TC is going to assist in making sure that that gap or that issue gets addressed and closed. They're also going to follow up with accounting to make sure that the CDA, the commission disbursement authorization, gets issued and it gets delivered to the buyer's title company. So this is where maintaining information in dotloop and SkySlope is so important, because we want to make sure that CDA gets in the right hands so that you get paid quickly and correctly. Okay. The day prior to closing, TCs will also follow up with title to make sure that they understand the importance of the scan. eXp is going to pay you not because they received the physical commission check from the title company, but because they received the scan of the commission check uploaded in SkySlope. So the TC is going to be very mindful of that. They're going to be looking for that, and they're going to make sure that those last couple of items get uploaded to get you paid on that transaction. Okay. So this is an overview of the checklist for buyers. I want to go over the same thing for sellers. And then I want to talk a little bit about how this actually will work, what it looks like, and how you sort of tap into these services, okay? So maybe we'll go through the sellers, and then if anybody has any questions and wants to jump in, and then we'll take it next steps, talk about what it's going to look like. So let's talk about your transactions for sellers. Again, just like with buyers, we're talking about transaction coordinators being able to manage the property from both dotloop and SkySlope. With sellers, it doesn't start at the point of contract, it starts at the point of listing. We know that the New Jersey broker's office is looking for a new listing to get loaded into SkySlope within 2 days of going live. Okay, so this is where you're going to be able to leverage the TCs on that quick turnaround, utilize their services and their expertise to take care of that for you. If you would like, the TC will help prepare listing documents and distribute for signature. Sometimes you might just want those documents in your arsenal ready to go because you're about to walk into a listing appointment, or you have a listing appointment the next day, and you want to be able to put documents in front of the seller in the moment to sign right then and there, capture that listing. TC can help you do that. TC, again, will work to validate the ownership by comparing tax records to the information you've been given about ownership of the property. Oprah reports, if it's something that you're interested in and want done, TC can request from the township or for the county any public records on a particular property. SkySlope is again maintained for compliance, now from the point of listing, not just from the point of contract. Also valuable, the TC will enter the listing into your MLS and confirm that the listing is correctly flowing to your website, that it's pulling tax information incorrectly. And then they'll go ahead and monitor the MLS for any changes or updates to status. They'll also include photos, seller's property disclosure, and any other pertinent documents that you may want attached to the listing in your local MLS. We will also, the TCs will request from the seller information about homeowners association and utility services. So on the one hand, we saw where the buyers needed that information. On the other hand, the TCs are in a good position to obtain that information from the sellers. Okay. If there are any contract changes that need to be made, any amendments, addendums, again, the TC can utilize dotloop to be able to prepare those revisions and send them out for electronic signature, always maintaining both dotloop and SkySlope for compliance as those changes happen. They'll also confirm delivery of the EMD on the seller side. They will provide notification to Connection Title or Unitas Title for seller title processing if you want those services. They'll take care of ordering that for you as well. Just like we can send a congratulatory timeline to the buyer, we'll do the same thing for the sellers. Talk about important dates and milestones that the seller should be mindful of in getting to the finish line, getting to closing. Also able to upload home inspection reports. We will, if the seller or if you direct, order a home warranty for that transaction, and then we will provide the invoicing to the title company so that it ultimately gets paid at the time of closing. Everything, as I've mentioned before, every change and adjustment that gets updated with dotloop will get updated with SkySlope. We know that the issuance of the commission disbursement authorization is dependent on the information that's in SkySlope. So as long as the closing date and the title company are accurate, then we know that that process works effectively. So the TC will take responsibility for making sure that SkySlope is up to date, complete, and compliant. The CDA will be reviewed for accuracy by the TC, will get uploaded into SkySlope, and then they'll follow up with the title company for the buyer to again remind them that this is how you should do the commission check for the eXp agent. Scan, most important, and then follow up with the lockbox instructions. They'll follow up to obtain any receipts on your behalf that need to be submitted to the buyer's title company for reimbursement so that you can just forward those or import those directly into dotloop, and the agent will communicate with buyer's title on your behalf. And then at the conclusion, they'll make sure that those final documents get uploaded into SkySlope and get you paid. Okay. So what we're talking about here are, again, when we talk about client contact in what these services involve, we're talking about email, we're talking about electronic signature. We're not talking about that sort of, like I said, personal relationship building. That's absolutely left to you. But clearly, I think if you look at these two checklists, you're looking at some very labor intensive, time consuming responsibilities that if they came off of your plate, you would see that time immediately come back to you and could be utilized in other more valuable ways for you. Before I talk about how this looks and how we are actually executing on this platform, does anybody have any questions about the services that we're talking about?
I have a question.
Sure.
Hi, this is Maria Peretti.
Hi, Maria.
Hi. Generally, the way I've dealt in the past, the attorneys use their own title companies. So when the transaction coordinator, or you just said that the transaction coordinator provides the title company or connects with the title company, that's usually done by the attorneys, in my experience. So is that still left up to the attorneys, or is this now the responsibility of the TC?
So ultimately, recognizing that attorneys are very much leveraged in your transactions, the TC is going to provide supplemental support, not going to take the place of the attorney in the transaction. So in that case, when you're relying on the attorney to handle contract preparation, to manage, inspection and repairs that come out of home inspection, and sort of guiding the train on a lot of the dates of the closing, the TC is going to supplement that. And they're going to work in the background to make sure that as things progress with the attorney, that the information that you are receiving, whether that be contract updates or title company information, that ultimately that information is getting updated in .loop, which is going to be your electronic file for your records. That's not the attorney's file, that's your file. And then SkySloop, which is, where eXp instructs us, we have to manage compliance.
Yeah. Hey, Deanna, can I just interject 1 minute? This
Yep.
is Chris Walsh, guys. Listen, I'm a producing team leader. I'm a producing agent just like you guys. And I can tell you that it's in everybody's best interest if you use our affiliated title company. These attorneys will use whoever you tell them to use if you make it very clear from the onset of the transaction who you want them to use for title. You have to realize that they're in business. They're in a relationship business just as we are. So they want to try to earn your business moving forward. So if it's a foreign attorney that you're unfamiliar with, okay, that you've never used, and they're picked out of a hat by your buyer, or they're a family friend or something like that, if you get them at the very beginning and explain the situation that we have full transaction coordinating services for our deals, and we're looking to make their lives a lot easier. You got to remember, like, these attorneys are just as fed up as we are dealing with incompetent realtors that have been in the business for a week or two, don't really know what they're doing. It would be so much of a relief for them to hear that you have full service, comprehensive, from start to finish transaction coordinating, and it's going to make their life that much easier. But we have our own recommended affiliate title company that we strongly encourage. Those are the key words. We strongly encourage that you order title through our services so that our transaction coordination can be 100% in sync with the title company from now until closing. The problem with a lot of these attorneys and a lot of situations with realtors is that realtors are afraid to ask them to order title through their services, which is, in my mind, that's just ridiculous because we're the originators of the deals. Okay. So these attorneys are out of business without our transactions that we're putting together. So these attorneys, 9 times out of 10, will use, and if it's an attorney that you have a relationship with, then there is absolutely no question. They should absolutely be using your title company that you recommend. And listen, some of you guys have marketing deals with your other title companies or whatever. Listen, if you're getting something marketing wise from another title company and you think that it's all that and, whatever, why don't you approach us and tell us what you need? Because we offer marketing services for agents that use Unitas Title and Connection Title. And trust me when I tell you, whatever this other title company is doing for you probably is not all that great. Okay. I'm sure we can work with you and make it, beneficial for you in that regard if you're doing a high volume of business or something like that. But, the way that transactions are being handled is changing. It's evolving. Okay. It's going to get to a point where the title company is strictly the closer of the deal and handling everything else. And attorneys, real estate attorneys, I would say in the next couple of years, you're going to see less and less of them being active in these real estate transactions. New Jersey is one of the few states that still utilizes the services of real estate attorneys. Okay. So title companies have taken on a majority of the work. Okay. But you should absolutely be strongly encouraging, keywords, the closing attorney to order title through the affiliated title companies. And if you get them at the beginning, they have no excuse. A lot of times you'll approach them and they're like, well, I already ordered title. 9 times out of 10, they did not order title yet. They're just telling you that because that's an easy cop out. And they want to use their friend or whatever that they play golf with who does title. But if you get them at the very beginning of the deal and you have your transaction coordinator contact the attorney as well and get them all their relevant paperwork to do the order and all that, 9 times out of 10, they're just going to order title through your company. Okay. Because they want an easier deal. These attorneys don't get paid a tremendous amount of money. They want a seamless transaction and they just want to get their check at the end. Okay. So use that as your leverage, that it's going to be easy, seamless, and you're going to make it, very smooth from start to finish, but they have to order your title company in order for that to happen. All right. That's all I have to say about that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris.
Have
Is
another,
that, go ahead, Maria.
oh geez, it just escaped me. Oh yeah, okay, here it goes. So when we upload the information, the documents get originated in dotloop. Does it get automatically picked up into SkySlope, or do we need to use 2 platforms, dotloop and SkySlope?
So it does not, that's a good question. So it does not automatically upload into SkySlope. But I know certainly from, if I take it back a few steps where we've already rolled out this platform with our Connection Realtors team here in South Jersey, dotloop was a platform that was familiar and it was full service in terms of document library and functionality. We just had to convert our documents from the old brokerage branding to the new, but we were able to leverage all of that and leverage everyone's knowledge and understanding of dotloop to be able to quickly create documents and send them out for signature. I believe the New Jersey Broker's Office for eXp offers, I know they have a Google Drive of documents and they suggest leveraging those documents with zip forms. We're putting everything all in one umbrella by using dotloop. And then the TC will take responsibility for making sure that ultimately those signed documents get imported into SkySlope so that you don't have to worry about any of that. You can go into SkySlope as much or as little as you want. As a matter of fact, when we actually execute on this platform, we encourage the agents not to go into SkySlope. There is functionality that improves immediately when it's the TC as opposed to the agent that initiates the transaction in SkySlope. When the agent initiates the transaction, then there are a couple of additional steps that have to happen at the onset in order for the TC to be able to access that transaction and then progress it on the agent's behalf. So what we're trying to do is alleviate as much of this from you as is necessary. So yes, 2 platforms are being maintained, but no, you're not the person that has to maintain them. Does that answer your question?
Right, so I originated in dotloop,
Mm-hmm.
then the TC picks it up from dotloop and puts it on SkySlope?
The TC can either originate it in dotloop on your behalf, or they can go ahead and pick it up in dotloop and then import that information into SkySlope. Yes, it can happen either way. So how does this actually work? So we've talked about the services, and that's sort of a good segue, Maria, into we talked about what the services are that we offer, but how does this actually work on a day-to-day basis? So typically, when you have, let's take an example. Let's say you have a new listing, an appointment. Here it is Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, and you've secured a listing appointment for Saturday at 10 a.m. You want to be able to walk into that listing appointment and hopefully secure the deal. There are a couple of pieces of information you're obviously not going to know on Friday afternoon. You're not going to know what the sales price would be. Maybe you don't know what the commission structure would be. But everything else you have a handle on. You know the property address, you know the sellers. You can send information to the TCs, and we use a shared mailbox. So there's only one email address that you need to know to be able to reach the entire team. The entire team is working to provide the same level of service, the same level of consistent, convenient, complete service, so that when you send your request into that shared mailbox, doesn't matter who's picking up on your request, it's going to get handled promptly and consistently. All you have to do is send an email, say, I would like a listing package generated. Here's the property information. This is how, these are the documents I need generated for the listing. Please create the account, or excuse me, please create the loop and dot loop and send the documents to me. So in that case, you're not looking for anything to be signed yet. You just want everything ready and in your arsenal, so that when you step into that listing appointment the next day, you're ready to go. How impressive would it be for you to be able to pull up those documents and know that they're already prepared, that you're not sort of fumbling to log in or fill in all that information. You want to be able to impress the sellers with your use of technology. So all you have to do at that point is click on the invite from the TC, fill in the couple of pieces of information that you're going to secure with the sellers. What do they want to list at? What is the commission structure going to look like? And then you can go ahead right then and there and sign those documents with the sellers. So that's an example of how the TC can create a loop on your behalf. Maybe you are someone who knows dot loop or would be happy to learn dot loop and want to be able to create your own loops. That you want to be the one entering the initial information. That's not an issue. This is all about what services you feel you can leverage to best serve you as you sell real estate. So if you want to create the loop, then the TCs are going to be aware of that loop creation, and they will assist you in making sure that that transaction ultimately gets added into SkySlope, and that all of those documents that are being sent out from .loop get executed correctly, get imported to SkySlope correctly, and then achieve compliance, sort of green lights, if you will, to move the transaction forward. Does that help explain a little bit, Maria, in terms of what your question was about how the TC is notified?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I don't want to take up too much time here, but I do have another question.
Sure.
I uploaded a contract to, let's just say a contract to be signed by the sellers. And the TC is going to send that document to the sellers for signature. Is that email going to be signed as TC coordinator from eXp, or is it going to be under my name? Because the sellers are going to say, well, I'm receiving these emails to sign something, but it's not coming from you. What is the signature?
So any emails that we send out for signature will come from the TC on behalf of you. So you will specifically be referenced in the emails that are generated from .loop.
Okay.
And you will also obviously be included on all of those emails, because you're going to be pulled in as a party to that transaction. So you'll be able to see all of that communication as well. Ultimately, whether you choose to create a loop and enter information yourself, or if you want that left to the TC, we have a form in .loop that we use as an all-inclusive, or mostly inclusive, I should say, intake form. There are always things that questions that might need to be answered that are unique to a transaction. But for the most part, if you have all of your ducks in a row with your transaction details, the more you can complete on that initial intake form, the more efficient you'll feel the TC process will be, because that is the information that they'll leverage to create the loop, to create the SkySlope transaction, create all of the documents, and then flow through to send them out for signature. So if you're providing complete seller's information and a good email address for each of the sellers, that's valuable. If you're providing correct title company information, and to Chris's point, let's make sure that that's Connection Title or Unitas Title when you're working with buyers, to further help understand that there are relationships between the TCs and between those two title companies that are unique to our structure, that you won't be able to leverage if a different title company was used. So the more you can provide in the form of intake upfront, the more complete and comprehensive the services will be from the get-go, so that you can just say, okay, I filled out my paperwork, I'm done, TC, go. And anyone on our TC team will be able to pick up on that transaction, get it started based on your direction, whether it's a loop that you've created and now they're picking up and moving it forward, getting documents out for signature, or they're creating it from the beginning. But you're copied on everything, so you'll know the progress. What our TCs are also doing with Dot Loop is leveraging some functionality that is all task driven. So when they're creating the loop, and this is why we would prefer to be able to create it as opposed to sort of jumping in on something that's already created. When we create it, we leverage certain templates that we have built. And those templates have not only documents connected to them. So if you have a listing template, or if you have a buyer or seller transaction or a rental transaction, there are going to be certain documents that are specific to that transaction type. But we've also built in task functionality to that transaction type so that the TC, just by nature of creating the transaction, will have a to-do list, if you will, to make sure that they're staying on top of that transaction on your behalf. This is something that will happen in the background that you won't even know is happening. And the only time that you'll have to worry about notification is if there's something that the TC needs, that they need, that they're asking for your assistance to help provide. Okay. So again, it's having somebody taking all of that and absorbing all of that organization and responsibility so that you don't have all those tasks and to-do lists in your mind because they're well in hand with someone else on your behalf. The way that the shared mailbox works is it's designed to be a round robin, so that right now we have 4 full-time people that are covering the 5 weekdays, and we're looking at ultimately having 12-hour-a-day coverage, Monday to Friday. We have Saturdays, we will have coverage 9 to 3, and we're looking to even expand into Sundays as well, because to my point at the beginning, real estate doesn't really stop any day of the week. So having TCs available to assist you 7 days a week, where when you need documents generated or when you need support in getting something signed, someone will be able to assist you. So the idea of the shared mailbox is to make sure that who's ever working at any given time has access to your request and can act on it, so that you're not sending it to a specific person's email at 5:30 and they've already left for the day and it doesn't get addressed till the next day. If it goes to a shared mailbox, whoever's working until 6:30 or 7 that night is going to be able to pick up on that request and handle it. So there's a couple of things that are happening. The TCs in the background are managing all these task lists that come with creating a new transaction. And then they're also being able to share in the responsibility for any of the needs that you come to us with and say, I have an amendment, I have an MLS change, I have a revision, whatever the case may be, I need new documents. Those requests as they come into the shared mailbox are being addressed. Another resource that we will be adding to our TC platform is a communication hotline, a phone number that will be shared across all the TCs, so that if you need assistance, if you have a question, if you want to know Dot Loop and are just getting stuck on something and need a TC's support to talk you through it, you'll be able to call into that hotline. And just like the shared mailbox, the phone number will work the same way, where the TCs will be, whoever's working will be online and available to take that call and assist you. The idea here is that you don't need a personal assistant, a specific individual to be your right-hand person, because we will have a team of people that are all on the same level, providing the same level of service, that understand that we're all going to execute the same way, because from your standpoint, from your vantage point, you want the level of service to be the same no matter which of the TCs is handling your request. You just want to know that it's done quickly, and it's done correctly. That makes sense?
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Deanna, I just want to add one more thing.
Yes.
So for the real estate leaders mega icon team, mine and Christian's team, the TC service is included in our agent's comp plan. I've had a couple agents ask me, how this is going to work as far as what we personally, our team is charging. Now, obviously, every mega team has a different situation based on comp plans and things like that. However, guys, this service is costing us a lot of money, and we want to be able to maintain the service for our agents the way we're doing it. Okay. So when we say, title should be ordered through Unitas Title. Now, Connection Title is specific to Connection Realtor Mega Team. We don't utilize Connection Title, so I just want to make that very clear as well. We strictly use Unitas Title, but we want to be able to continue offering this service to our agents. So, this is your chance really to start utilizing the services of Unitas Title Agency. And again, this is giving you every bit of ammunition that you need with your attorneys, either that you're using, or if it's an attorney, even not that you're using, but your client is already decided that they are going to use this, prior to engaging in a relationship with you. This is your ammunition to even get those attorneys outside of your network to utilize the services of Unitas. So, again, we're trying to make everything as seamless and as smooth as possible. And I can tell you from being a producing agent that, my downfall was always, as I was trying to grow my business, was always having somebody to handle my transactions. There's going to be, especially if you're one of those agents that's doing, 20 deals consecutively every year, and you find it very hard to get above 20 deals because you need help, but maybe you're not in a position to hire a full-time employee to come on and help you. So you have that, you have that pitfall where you're trapped between 20 transactions and, let's say, 30 transactions. 30, you would have the money to hire somebody, but at 20, you need the help, but you really can't afford, or you don't have the ability to hire somebody. So we're trying to bridge that gap for you. But the beauty of this is, once you even get to 30 transactions, we're hoping that you don't need to internally hire somebody. You can just continue utilizing these services. Okay. But, the more business that, is happening here, and the more detail that we want to have the services be for you, there's a hefty cost associated with this on our end. And we're trying to provide these services within your comp plan and have nothing change. Okay. But utilizing Unitas gives us additional resources so that as we need to expand and bring on additional help, additional, manpower with additional TCs, we're able to do that without any hiccups. Okay. So again, I just want to repeat that utilizing the services of Unitas is going to help us keep this service intact. And we do not want to have to, alter or modify the comp plans for our agents. Okay. So just wanted to answer that question.
Thank you, Chris. And to that point too, if you were to research this type of service on other platforms, you would quickly see how the cost adds up. Easily $250 to $350 per transaction. Easily.
Deanna, we priced this out per transaction. Deanna, $250 was like the minimum. It went all the way up to $500 per transaction. So we're giving a service here that varies anywhere. I would say $250 was even low. I mean, you're dealing with someone in India or Philippines to get a service as low as $200 or $250. So if you want to have somebody in the United States that is very much in tune to what's going on with your local state rules, laws, compliance, you're looking at like $350 minimum up to $500 per transaction. Okay. And that's what we're bringing to you guys. And all you need to do in return really is push the title company to be used on the transactions as much as you can. And look, I understand, like, there's some attorneys that absolutely will not use your title company, or there's situations that are just impossible. And I get that. I get that. I mean, not every one of my transactions gets put through the title company because of pre-existing relationships or whatever the case may be. But, you really do have to make a genuine and sincere attempt to have the transaction service through Unitas for this reason, because what's good for you guys is good for us. It just makes things easier for everybody utilizing this service. And I want to keep this as a very cohesive, well-oiled machine. And I really want the agents to be able to focus 90% of their time prospecting new business, okay, and 90% of their time servicing their existing business, okay. So with a bulk of your time, I want you guys to be generating new business and servicing your existing business, because if you're servicing your existing business with 90% of your time, you're going to generate a tremendous amount more business for yourself, because you're going to be able to get more personal referrals. You're going to get better reviews on Google and Zillow or wherever else you guys post reviews, Facebook, social, whatever. But you could spend a lot more of your time doing the things that you don't currently feel you have the time to do, putting good content out on social media, whatever the case may be. We're trying to free countless amounts of hours up for our agents so that they could be more productive and do a much higher quality of business and marketing for themselves and be positioned for higher level success.
Absolutely. And let's face it, I'm not sure that I know very many real estate agents who say the thing they love most about their job is the paperwork. So having said that, and just trying to give a broad view, you see the services. I dropped in the checklists that we just went over so that you can take those from the chat and review them. If you have any questions or feedback on them, I would love to hear from you. But what I want to talk about is, what our sort of next steps are. We have our group of.
Well, Deanna, do we have the email address that we're using?
I have right now a shared mailbox TC, and I can put that, but we're just a little bit shy of going live. Okay. So right now, this is the TC mailbox that we share for Connection Realtors. And so, like I said, we're going to leverage that format and that platform. And Chris, actually, I learned a little bit of something this morning from our earlier message from our earlier Zoom that I was going to talk to you about leveraging the Leaders Edge Zoom domain to be able to create something that feels broader across all three teams rather than the connection name. But what we're looking at is we have a team of 4 TCs. 2 had been with us, and I have worked with them, I think with each of them at least 8 or 10 years. Both of them had real estate in their backgrounds before they came to us and have worked in a variety of roles with us related to real estate, related to admin, related to title. So they have appreciation for the various aspects of the transaction, and they have appreciation for the need for a transaction to go seamlessly. They also have experience with dot-loop and have come up to speed very quickly with SkySlope. The 2 additional individuals that we've just hired who are in training now, one has been a TC processor, not just for New Jersey, but has also done a significant amount of work in PA and has done some work in New York. So we're looking at expanding our expertise so that those agents out there who are looking to grow into other states, we can continue to leverage that expertise to provide the support that you need in those markets as well. We also have brought someone on, and this is new, but actually I am finding very exciting. One of our TCs actually is in Georgia. What she brings is not only a background, a paralegal background, but she also has been with eXp for several years. So she appreciates the context of real estate in this brokerage platform. So what we've done is work to build a group that's incredibly competent and incredibly well-rounded and diverse in the expertise that they bring or the perspective that they bring to the group. They are all customer-centric, so all recognize that you are their client, that your satisfaction with the service is ultimately the measure of its success. So I encourage you to think about what having this type of service could mean to your business. What our next steps are, as soon as we return from the July 4th holiday, like coming into the first full week of July, we will be formally rolling this plan out with the real estate leaders, where every agent that wants to participate will have a .loop account assigned to them with an invite. We will have training available if anybody wants training on .loop or needs training on .loop. And we're also going to obtain some information from you up front, one time, just to give us a sense of how you want to participate in the program, how deep you want to get into it, how you best want to be contacted, your email, your cell phone. Do you prefer text? Do you prefer email? Do you prefer a phone call? That might be most meaningful to you, and we want to understand that. We also want to just get a sense of what you're thinking you can leverage from the TCs. Do you just want somebody to take SkySlope off your plate? Or are you super excited to have everybody, start from loop creation all the way through to getting you paid by uploading documents in SkySlope? So we'll collect all that information, and that's all going to happen the first week of July with us going live and you to be able to just sort of dive in and start leveraging these services. For those of you with Platinum, I understand that you don't have .loop now, but that will become available to you. So there will be some additional levels of training. So from real estate leaders, a lot of you have .loop exposure. For Platinum, that will be, for most of you, brand new. So we will have training that will be geared to you to help you understand the platform, particularly from an execution standpoint, that if you're talking your clients through signing a document, you just want to make sure that you're comfortable and have confidence on how to have those conversations with your client. And then the same thing will happen with rollout. We'll have the training, we'll collect some information about you up front to make sure that we're communicating with you the way you want to be communicated to, and then getting you that invite to .loop so that you can sort of hit the ground running. We have a couple of things that we're working on now logistically to make sure when all of this gets rolled out following the holiday that we are ready to go. Okay. We're spending time training right now to make sure that all the TCs are on the same page, all talking the same language, if you will. And we're making sure that all of our systems needs are in place so that you can be confident that as you start to hand over these responsibilities, that they're going to be treated in a way that helps you continue to look like a superstar, adds to your credibility, adds to your effectiveness, and ultimately, builds that client as a client for life. So that's the goal. And that was what we wanted to do today, was just give you an introduction of what you can expect, of the value that would be coming your way, and to get you into the mindset of really thinking about how that could be impactful to your business. So having said all that, does anybody have any questions? Is there anything that you, I heard somebody. Any questions, any comments, any feedback?
Deanna, I have a question.
Okay.
Sorry. It's Stacy Donadio from the Real Estate Leaders.
Hi, Stacy.
I'm sorry. Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Good. I'm at an inspection, so I had to walk away from the call for a minute. I don't know if you already answered this. I apologize.
No worries.
So we utilize .loop. Will the TCs be going into our accounts, or will they be using their own account and inviting us in to view the document? How is that going to work?
So ultimately what will happen is, for the real estate leaders, you will be pulled into one large .loop platform. So where you have a separate platform right now, you're going to get pulled into one large platform where the TCs will have access themselves. So you won't have to worry about providing them access to your account. They'll be able to work in your loops, progress your loops on your behalf through their own account.
Okay.
Our expectation is that the only time that the TC would require any personal login information from you is if you'd like to leverage the MLS services.
Okay. All right. Okay, thanks.
Sure. Any other questions?
Yeah, hi, this is Alfredo. I just have a quick question, and I know you kind of covered it, but so just essentially a scenario. I know this would be in a couple weeks. I'm out with a client. They want to make an offer on a property. Right from there, are we leveraging the TC, or is that something where, we can get the contract going and the email out, and then they can take over from there?
So that's where I would say that might be the one responsibility that, just because of the unique market situation that we're in right now, especially with the level of competing offers and how things can just evolve so quickly, that you may not want to wait. And when I say wait, I mean, I have TCs are jumping on requests that are coming in within minutes or even seconds right now. But at the same time, you want to be able to turn something around to the listing agent very quickly with an offer. And you want to be able to sort of be hands-on with making adjustments or updates to that offer to try and ultimately get yours to be the one that's accepted. So that's going to be a personal decision to you, Alfredo. And I think it's going to depend a lot on the circumstance of your transaction and your offer. If you find yourself in a time crunch where you know you're competing with other offers in the moment, you might want to take on that responsibility and then just transition it to the TC once your offer is accepted to go under contract.
Okay.
If on the other hand, you're, putting an offer on a property that's been on the MLS 60 or 90 days, maybe isn't as hot as some of these other properties, and you feel like you're not under so much pressure and the fire's not to your buyer's bottom to get this right so that the sellers accept the offer, then absolutely feel free to leverage the TCs from the word go, from the point of offer.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Any other questions? I think the most important thing, and to build on that, what we just talked about, Alfredo, this is going to be to a very large extent all about what you want it to be. So again, if you just need somebody to take SkySlope off your hands, that's what the TCs are there for. But if you want somebody to be like your soup to nuts admin, deal with .loop, get the doc signed, make sure it's compliant, and just alleviate that from my stress and from my to-do list, then they're there for that too. And then they're there for everything in between.
Got it. This is exciting because I haven't done a transaction yet as an eXp agent.
Awesome.
So I'm like awaiting that moment.
Yeah.
We can have this in place. It's going to make my life even easier.
Well, that's great.
I'm just nervous about using like a whole new system after getting used to using something else. But it's
well,
exciting.
And it's certainly, I'm glad that you feel that it's exciting, because that's the point, is that, we all have enough to do with the transition and enough new things to learn. And for those of us who have been doing this a long time, a lot of people feel like this is a great shot in the arm, a nice change. It's refreshing and you feel invigorated and you want to go get at it. You want to go sell, you want to market, you want to leverage eXp in those regards, but you really don't want to have to waste time learning all these new systems and procedures. So we're going to take that off your hands. So I'm glad that you're excited. I hope you're not the only one.
That's exactly how I feel. I'm excited about everything except the paperwork.
Well, there you go. Problem solved.
There we go. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, Alfredo. Anybody else? Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and stick my email in the chat too, because if anything comes up, if you have any feedback, I always love to hear it. Otherwise, we will be working with the team leaders for the real estate leaders and for Platinum to get formal dates on the calendar where we will roll out the process. Like I said, share with you that information form to sort of survey you on what services you'd like to utilize. It's not set in stone, that can change at any time, but just to get an initial idea, a gauge of where you are, and then get you set up with .loop, make sure that training's available, and we'll get going so that, hopefully by the middle or end of July, you are feeling like already you're seeing time back in your schedule and seeing how that translates to something really meaningful to you and your business. All right. Awesome. Well, I'll take that as a resounding okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time and your participation. I hope you've found it a valuable use of the last 60 minutes for you. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help you.
Deanna, sorry, I'm not sure. Were you calling on me, Deanna?
No, but if you'd like to send us off for the day, feel free.
No, listen, I appreciate everything. This was awesome, very helpful. Anybody that came on this obviously learned a lot. And we're gonna, like I said, edit this, clean it up a little bit, get it posted so everybody can reflect and revert back to it, or anybody that missed it can obviously check it out, take a look, take a listen, and see what we're up to with this whole TC implementation. And again, we'll follow up with the next steps once we actually go live, which I think is going to be in the next 7 to 10 business days. So we're looking to enter into July with this service in full effect.
Yep, absolutely. We're working feverishly.
We are. Days and nights.
Awesome.
7 days
yes.
a week.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks so much, Deanna. As
Thank you,
always,
Chris.
you were smooth as glass. Thanks so much.
Appreciate that. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
right.
Have a great Wednesday.